What does this have to do with this week's album? Everything. Hey, I'm Jade, and this is Backline Beat's Turn It Up Tuesday, where every week I'll give a new album recommendation and a little history behind it. You can check out backlinebeat.com for more music-related stuff, link in the description box below, and if you could hit that subscribe button, that'd be great. Now let's get into it. In the early 90s, a young Jack Gillis met a young Meg White who was working at Memphis Smoke in Detroit, Michigan. By 1996, the two were married, with Jack taking Meg's last name. While Jack played around town in bands while they were together, it wasn't until Meg picked up the drumsticks and started playing with Jack that things changed. With Jack stating, "When she started playing the drums with me, just on a lark, it felt liberating and refreshing. There was something in it that opened me up," thus giving us the White Stripes. The name of the band actually came from the love Meg had for peppermints. They were actually going to name themselves the Peppermints, but in a roundabout way came around to the White Stripes, with their last name influencing that decision. You can actually see some peppermint imagery throughout the aesthetics of the band. Speaking of the image of the band, they stuck very strictly to a red, white, and black theme, never really deviating on it, really just deviating on it to go black and white. There's also an obsession they had for the number 3, and you can see that throughout, whether it is the number 3 or the use of a triangle and so on. The two played their first live gig on August 14th, 1997, at the Gold Dollar Bar in their hometown, Detroit. 5 years after that, Meg and Jack White entered Toe Rag Studios in the UK to begin recording their 4th album. This week's recommendation, Elephant. In the process of recording, they only used analog gear, and in fact didn't use anything that was made after 1963, something Jack was very proud of. Elephant also features Meg taking the lead on the song Cold Cold Night, her first leading vocals in the band. It wasn't actually the only female sung song on the album, with Holly Golightly singing a duet with Jack. Well, it's true we love one another. Of the White Stripes sound, Jack has said, "I think every artist, their environment contributes to what they do, and Detroit is very much a part of the White Stripes." On April 1st, 2003, Elephant was released to both critical and fan acclaim, peaking at number 6 on the charts and catapulting the band into another stratosphere. By September, the band was platinum in the US, and in February 2004, they walked into the Grammys with 3 nominations: Album of the Year, Best Rock Song, and Best Alternative Album, walking away with the latter 2. That Best Rock Song was their first single they released from the album, the one and only 7 Nation Army, which dropped on February 17th, 2003. The label didn't initially think the song single material and wanted another song to be the first single, but more on that later. But Jack insisted that the song was released, which is kind of funny because Jack and Meg didn't actually really think much of that song when they were recording it. They thought they had better material, and didn't really think much of it. And actually the riff, the very iconic riff, Jack was actually saving for if he ever had the chance to do a Bond song, but thought, he'll just put it on this album and write a song to it. Though Jack did end up making a Bond song a few years later with Alicia Keys. The song was a hit around the world, peaking at number 1 on Billboard's modern rock charts for 3 weeks in a row. The song has since taken on a life of its own, becoming something more than just a rock tune. In arenas and stadiums around the world, you can hear the chant, that melody, sung by the masses. And could very well, at this moment you're watching this, thousands of fans could be chanting this, cheering on their favorite team. It's not actually just sports fans that have taken this tune. On the 825th anniversary of the Hamburg port, a cruise ship coming in played the melody over their horns. On the song becoming a chant, something beyond just a song, Jack has said, "It's not mine anymore. It becomes folk music when things like that happen. It becomes something that the more people that don't know where it came from, the happier I am. The next song released was a cover of I Just Don't Know What to Do by Myself, which was originally written in 1962 by Burt Bacharach and Hal David, with Dusty Springfield's version that was released in 1964 being the inspiration behind the cover. After Meg heard that version, and as she said, I could just kind of hear us doing that song in my head. By the time they actually recorded the song for the album, they'd been playing it live for years. The song's video was directed by Sofia Coppola and featured a pole dancing Kate Moss. Dropping on August 11th was The Hardest Button to Button, the name referencing a coat Jack had, whose top button was the hardest button to button, and also sayings his dad used to say. The song itself is about a kid who's trying to find their place in their family after a new baby arrives. The singles cover, as you can see here, features a silhouetted hand with a broken finger, which was a reference to Jack's broken finger, and is why he's wearing a cast in the video. Speaking of the video, 32 identical drums and amps were used, as well as 16 mic stands. And after the video's done, all of those were actually donated to music school. Making a cameo is Beck as the man with a box with something in it. Though actually, Jack had a different idea for the video. If he had had it his way, the video would have been directed by Jim Jarmusch and featured Philip Seymour Hoffman in the starring role. The video was parodied on a Simpsons episode that Jack and Meg cameoed in, called Jazzy and the Pussycats. Third man photographer David Swanson plays on the album. Sort of. I was there with Jack and Meg, filming and photographing the making of the album. There was too much feedback between riffs, so Jack tried to turn on a compressor pedal to kill it, but it became a nuisance. So I was enlisted to play the compressor pedal on the song, turning it on and off between every riff. The last song released was the song There's No Home For You Here on March 15, 2004. This was the one the label had initially wanted to release first, which is kind of hilarious thinking of this song, which you could say is almost a forgotten song, whereas Seven Nation Army became iconic. Of this song, Jack has said, our idea was to see how far we could go with an 8-track recorder, and I think how far we went is too far. By the end of the album's cycle, the White Stripes had been launched into the stratosphere, making them icons, not just of the garage rock revival, but to music as a whole, with one of the tunes ascending into something beyond that of a single, inspiring a generation. And for me, as someone who started learning guitar in September 2003, having this album been out, we all kind of already knew how to play Seven Nation Army before we knew how to play guitar. It was the first riff we learned, and we played it over and over and over and over and over again. Still pulling it out every so often, even today. So grab it off your shelf, or open your favorite music app, or maybe even grab your guitar and turn up this week's album, The White Stripes' Elephant. I hope you learned a little something new, and leave a comment below on who you'd like me to check out, whether it's just to check out someone new or to do possibly a video on. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, I'd love if you did so. I'd be super grateful. And also check out backlinebeat.com. And if you like what I do and would like to help the channel and site more, and you can, there's links in the description box how you could do so. Thanks, and have yourself a good one.